It's time for a Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Nobody can ever tell you that you couldn't do it, because you did.
On Giants.com.
You know what I saw? New York Giant Prime.
And the Giants mobile app.
17-14 is the final. One touchdown, we are world champions. Believe it, and it will happen.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs, have some fun.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. I'm Paul Dottino. He's Matt Citak. We're here for the next hour to talk Giants football with you at 201-939-4513. We are in the Hackensack Podcast studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. And folks, the Giants are off today. Yeah, after 2 days of padded practices in a row, although they were only thud or heavy contact practices, not tackling practices, I remind you, today is a day off. Brian Dable will have the guys back tomorrow in shells. They'll be in full pads again on Friday and on Saturday. So if you're coming out to practice this week, that's what you can expect over the next couple of days. But for today, beautiful day, another 90-degree day out here in northern Bergen County. We are just having a blast, and we're going to talk Giants football with you. Now, what we'd like to know from those of you who attended practice over the course of the first week of training camp, since we now have 1 week to the day, 1 week of practices, we'd like to know which guys have really shined for you over the course of the first week. We've got some choices ourselves. In fact, I told Matt we'll go top three guys on offense. We don't have to go deeper than that. We could just go top three on offense, top three on defense. If you got a couple honorable mentions, throw them out there too. That's okay. But certainly you got to have at least three on both sides of the ball. Special teams, even though I'm huge on specials, we're going to excuse that because what have we seen?
Not much. We do have the special team periods, but it's just basically one-sided in those drills, so you can't really take anything from those.
So to be fair, we're going to eliminate that from the conversation.
For now.
Now.
We'll get to it later in camp.
At some point.
Later in August.
We saw Gano kick a few field goals the other day.
That's true.
And that was nice.
We still see every day, as the team is doing team drills, Graham will be off on a side field, one of the other fields, and he'll put the ball on the, let's say, the 35-yard line, but all the way on the sideline. So he has a small angle to get it through the uprights, and he just drills it every single time.
McAtamney was doing that during the spring drills.
Yep.
When Gano was not here. And, all I could say is about McAtamney, he has the international exemption available to him again for the second straight year. He was only active for one game last year. The Giants can use him as an international exemption practice squad player. He unofficially could become the 17th player on the practice squad if they want to go that route. But he's working his butt off as much as he can, trying to enhance his value as an NFL kicker. And I give him a lot of credit, but it's nice to know the Giants have that flexibility to keep him should they so choose.
Yeah, for sure. But, again, so far what we've seen from Graham,
he looks good.
He looks like his normal self.
He does.
Not his normal healthy self. Because obviously he's dealt with some injuries the last couple of seasons. But at least right now he looks healthy and good to go. And it's showing up when he's kicking these field goals.
And he's so good from 50-plus.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, when you are somewhat hampered offensively, sometimes you need those 50-plus yard field goals to get points.
For sure.
201-939-4513 is our phone number, folks. Get on the line again. We're here for the next hour. All right, let's start with the offense. Since the defense has gotten most of the headlines during training camp, I think we'll start with the offense. My number one offensive star in the first week of training camp, for me, it's got to be Russell Wilson, who to me has been the offensive star of the entire offseason, to be frank. Not just training camp for me, but his accuracy, his consistency, and this says nothing of all of the other intangibles that he has brought to this team as he tries to raise the tide and lift all the boats of this New York Giants roster.
Yeah, Russell Wilson was my number one offensive, camp standout as well. And for everything that you just said, on the field, he's just connected. It seems like at least once every practice he connects on one of those moonball passes.
Yeah.
And almost every day it's to someone new. It's not like it's like just going to Darius Slayton or just Jalen Hyatt, the so to speak deep threats on the team. He's thrown them to everyone. Malik's gotten one, Wandel's gotten one. I think Tyrone Tracy had one. He's spreading the ball around on these deep passes, but just the accuracy he's had on those deep passes, it's something we just haven't seen from a Giants quarterback in a long time. And it's not only the deep passes. He fits throws into tight windows across the middle where it's like, how did he just get the ball through, 7 guys in front of him? He gets the ball right into the receiver and hits the guy right in his hands. We're talking about like maybe 8-yard passes, but those in games, those matter a lot. Obviously, it's not just about the deep passes. And I would say almost just as important as everything he's done on the field. We knew this already. This is not anything new, but it just exemplified even more the first week of training camp is what he brings off of the field. I mean, anytime someone is asked about Russell Wilson, whether it is an offensive player, a defensive player, the head coach, a coordinator, a position coach on either side of the ball, they rave about him. Every single person has had nothing but the utmost positive things to say about Russell Wilson, his leadership, what he brings to the locker room, what he's doing to help all of his teammates. He spends so much time breaking things down with guys, even on the other side of the ball, to help both of them, for him to see what they're seeing on the defensive side of things. And for, for him to tell them like, I kind of saw you leaning this way, so I knew I had space the other way. He's helping everyone on this roster. And, he really is, as you said, he's just raising the floor, I think, of this offense and overall the entire team.
One of the ways I described what he's been like to my dad, who, quite honestly, he liked Daniel Jones and felt very bad that didn't work out. And he said to me, all right, I get it. Russell Wilson is a multi-Pro Bowl player. He's been a winner. He's gone to Super Bowls. I get all of that. I understand about the raw talent. But what can you tell me? Give me a description of something that visually is really a lot different. And I said, and maybe you'll agree, I said the one thing that is very noticeable is that even if Russell Wilson has what might be a so-so or bad day for him, he raises the floor because he has not had a, quote, bad day since he walked onto this property. He's had a few days, 2 or 3 days, where maybe he didn't throw the ball across the board as consistency as he would have liked, or maybe had 2 or 3 throws during that day's practice that weren't spot on. But that's like a bad day for him. That a bad day? Sign me up every day of the week, because his bad days are pretty darn good.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, we're not going to sit up here and say that Russell Wilson has, connected on every single pass attempt he's had, because he hasn't. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But as you mentioned, even his bad days consist of like maybe a couple of throws that are just not right on target, but still in a position where the pass catcher is able to make a play on the ball. Again, not every single one of those resulted in catches. Sometimes the defender made a nice play to break it up, or the receiver may have just dropped it, but he gives his pass catchers a chance basically every single time he throws the ball.
Yeah.
That is all you can ask for. Like, obviously you would love for every single pass to be square on, right in the hands, on stride. It's not going to happen 100% of the time. But as long as you're giving your playmakers, this young, talented group of playmakers, the chance to make a good play themselves, that's all you can ask for from the quarterback position.
It's a noticeable difference when you watch practice.
100%. And something else that I have noticed with him is anytime someone on offense makes a play during team drills, whether or not he was the quarterback on the play, he is basically the first one to go and congratulate that player. I have not seen one, good play made by the offense where Russell Wilson did not immediately after go up to whoever made the play and give him a high five or a tap on the helmet, something to like say, job well done.
Okay.
And it's obviously, it's just a little thing, but it matters to the guys in this locker room. These young guys that grew up watching this guy win a Super Bowl and be one of the best quarterbacks in the league for a long time. It matters to them. It means something to them. And it's just another sign and just display of the leadership that he brings to this locker room.
All right, give me your number 2 guy. I don't want to hog up all 3 and then have you respond, so give me your number 2.
So my number 2, which we haven't seen him every single day. Like, he got held back yesterday, but that's because in part of how, I guess, hard he went the day before.
Okay.
But my number 2 is Cam Scadaboo. I really, really like what we have seen from him so far, both in the run game and as a pass catcher. Again, you and I have sat up here and spoke, I can't even count how many times, about how good of a pass catcher he is, how he just is an all-around complete running back, similar to Tyrone Tracy in the fact that they can catch the ball in addition to run the ball. But I believe it was the first padded practice on Monday where he just had a couple of just jaw-dropping plays.
Yeah.
He had one run, and again, they're not tackling in practice. So
Right.
normally when there's a run play and a guy has a big gain, it's like, all right, he probably would have gotten tackled after a couple of yards, but they're not actually tackling, so he continues running and it looks like a big play. He had one run that was a legitimate 30-plus yard gain.
Almost
where
40.
He just had an insane cutback, and all of a sudden he's sprinting up, open down the sideline, where it's like, where did he come from? Like, it looked like he was in traffic, and all of a sudden he does this move, and he's just breaking up the sideline for a humongous gain. He had, I think it was 2 big catches in Monday's practice, and I think it was it Sunday's practice where he almost had one of the most insane plays we've seen.
The tiptoe, off the deflection.
I think it was Sunday's practice where Jackson Dart threw a pass, it got deflected in the end zone, and it wasn't even to him, but he just had the awareness to look up, see that the ball was in the air, and make a play on the ball where he came up with the catch, but it sounded like his feet might have just been on the sideline, so it would not have counted.
The official said it was out of bounds, so what are you going to do?
But
his teammates liked it, though.
It was still a spectacular play, and it just goes to show the football IQ that he has. And we haven't even gotten to see him really showcase one of his biggest attributes, which is his physicality. Because, again, they're not tackling him, so he's not running guys over. We're going to have to wait till the preseason to really get a glimpse into that. But, we hear his teammates talk about, I think it was Brian Burns the other day, was like, I can't wait to see him in a game because I want to see him run someone over.
Yeah.
His teammates are excited for it, and I'm right there with him. I cannot wait to see it.
I got the impression that Brian wants to accept the challenge to try to stop him in a practice before he even gets to the field for a game.
Yes, but we don't need our guys tackling.
No, I didn't say that we do, but Brian is like,
no, he definitely
wants that challenge.
Sort of indicating that.
Yes,
for sure.
I think it's interesting, and to just further enhance his point about Scadaboo, who was number 3 for me.
Okay.
You had him at 2. I had him at 3, but he makes the cut. Scadaboo has a deceptive second gear. I don't think he's got a third gear, which to me indicates long speed where, he could outrun anybody and score from anywhere on the field. He's not that guy.
No.
He's going to wind up getting caught by somebody in the secondary at some point. He does not have the long speed and that third gear. But the second gear is very deceiving. It's there. He sees the hole. He hits it. He makes his slash. If you're in front of him, he'll take you down. He'll knock you over and he'll drag you. But if he's got room to run and squeeze through daylight, he's going to do that too. And he's going to do it at surprising speed and quickness. So Scadaboo's my number 3. My number 2 is Malik Neighbors, who it seems as though every single practice that he's on the field, he makes at least one eye-opening grab. And he had some dropsies last year. Could you tell me how many drops you have him for so far in the first week of camp?
I don't think any.
I got it for 0.
Yeah.
That's why I gave him number 2. Because I see that as improvement. I see that as more focus, more concentration. I see that as a step forward. I know he's not getting hit. I get that. Okay, they're not real opponents opposite him, but he's catching the ball cleanly. And every practice, he makes at least one big play. I went with Neighbors as 2.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking of going with my number 3.
It's okay.
I considered a couple of other guys here. I considered Jackson Dart, but more so in the last couple of days. I mean, again, it's only been a week. There have been 6 practices, but he has improved, I would say, pretty noticeably each day. Like from where he was in the practice that was exactly 1 week ago to how he looked the last 2 days with the pads on.
Agreed.
Significantly different.
Agreed.
And if he can make that sort of improvement in just 1 week, then, let's see what he can look like in a month or a couple of months from now. I'm excited to see that. But I didn't go with him because the beginning of camp, it was a little up and down. He made some good plays, but he also made some bad plays, some mistakes.
We were set for higher expectations because he had a great spring.
Yeah.
A great spring, spectacular spring and OTAs and rookie minicamp. And then when training camp started the first few days, it was a little sketchy. So I agree with you.
Yeah. Look, he looked like a rookie quarterback out there.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. You got to make the mistakes to learn from them and grow from them. So I considered him, but I did not go with him. I considered going with someone on the line, the offensive line, but I did not because we've only had 2 padded practices, and that's really the only time you can see the linemen really do much.
Can I guess? Illuminor.
No.
No.
And I didn't go with this guy because he's not I wouldn't classify him as one of the top standouts, but the improvement that he's shown these last 2 days, I would say was very noticeable, and that's Evan Neal.
Okay.
What he has looked like in the run game, again, that big Cam Scadaboo run, I'm pretty sure he was one of the guards on the field on that play.
He was.
He is moving people out there. He is moving guys. You don't normally see a guard at 6'7" and his size, as many of his teammates and coaches have, echoed that sentiment the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
But, he looks comfortable out there at guard. And again, it's not the first time he's played the position. It's been a few years.
Right.
But he did play it at Alabama his first year where he was pretty dang good at left guard for the Crimson Tide. It's been a little while since he was playing that position, but he seems to be making strides each day. And it's been noticeable. And obviously, considering how the first 3 years of his career went or have gone, it is great to see that him making improvements, and his teammates have certainly noticed it because they've all raved about him every time they're asked about him as well. Guys on both sides of the ball. So, again, he's not one of the top standouts. That's why I agree with you. It's Malik, because Malik, again, he's looking like a superstar.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to give Evan a little bit of praise because the first 3 years obviously has not been the smoothest ride for him, and he still has a long way to go. But so far, the early results that we have seen, I would say so far so good.
So not in order, but your honorable mentions are Neal and Dart.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say, yeah.
Not in order.
Yeah. Those two are my honorable mentions.
I think Illuminor has been the best of the offensive linemen as a whole. But again, with only 2 days of padded practices, it's hard for me to pick a lineman. But for the argument's sake, I'll put him as an honorable mention. I thought Theo Johnson, to me, was an honorable mention too. That's a guy that deserved consideration, I thought. He has looked good. Seems to be running routes cleanly without any problems. He had that foot injury at the end of last year. Mm-hmm. They had to deal with that. I don't sense he's lost any of his athleticism.
No.
Or his quickness or any of his route running ability. He doesn't look tentative to me at all. And he does catch 90% of what's thrown at him. I think I've had him for a drop or two, but also there was some contested passes that, couple he made, couple he didn't. So he was honorable mention for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. He hasn't caught every single pass thrown in his direction, but especially considering how he looked, I would say, last training camp and even the first, 2 months of the season, where drops were kind of an issue for him.
He looks better now, right?
He looks a lot better. He's not dropping nearly as many passes. Again, it's not been 100% perfect, but he certainly looks like he's already taken, what we saw right before the injury last year during the season, that is the Theo Johnson that we have seen so far in training camp. It looks like a different player from, last training camp and the first half of last season. So I agree with you on that one.
See, that was a fun list.
Yeah.
Okay? And we see things pretty similar. Folks, if you were at training camp, please call us at 201-939-4513. give us another name if you have somebody else, or maybe you want to pile on to some of the names we already gave you. We're going to quickly go to some phone calls. We're going to try to make them rapid fire today. We've already taken a lot of time with the offensive stars. We got to go to the defense, too. We're going to go Len in Maryland. You're number one on our program today, Len, but number one in our hearts, of course, as always.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I was there yesterday. Thank you for coming out, Paul. I enjoyed talking to you.
It was good to see you.
And John also, and hopefully in the future, maybe I get to meet Matt. Personally, that'd be a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun. Well, it was a great day. God, I wish I lived closer. I'd be there every day, but it's a long haul from where I am. But always nice to visit once a year, and they do a really nice job with it. Everything's well organized. Management does a real good job with it. My only disappointment, Paul, they used to offer a roster sheet when you came through the door.
It's electronic now.
They stopped doing it. Maybe they figured people.
No, it's electronic, Len. You got. Did you see the sign? And maybe you walk by it. There's.
I did.
The QR code, the ink splotches, right? They call it a QR code.
Yep.
See, I'm up on these things. You got to scan the QR code into your phone. And supposedly that then puts the PDF of the roster, right?
Should bring it up.
Wow.
It should bring it up into your phone.
Right past it. Didn't realize that. Walked right past it.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Nice day, and a couple of things. Just starting with, I wouldn't argue with your list, but starting on the defensive side, those linebackers, the three guys. Geez, they look like they could do whatever they wanted. Burns especially. Geez, Burns had I thought he had a terrific day yesterday.
He always does.
Oh my goodness, just toying with people. You got the feeling he was maybe only going at about 75% too. Yeah, terrific player. If Travis Alexander isn't in the starting lineup on opening day, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Darius. Yeah, the defensive tackle.
Darius, yeah.
Third-round pick.
Put him out there. Let the kid play. He's got the skills. He's going to be a terrific run stopper, and he's not a bad pass rusher. He's ready to play. Just put him out there. And if we have to put a third lineman out there, Robertson Harris, and you couple him with Travis and Dexter, and you got 950 pounds of meat along that front that are just going to punish people. Mm-hmm. And then the linebackers are going to do their thing. I just can't. I know every team does it. And I'm just, maybe I'm too old school and I can't figure it out. But I'm not a big 2-4-5 defense guy. I want beef. I want beef on that defensive line.
I know how you feel, Len. I know how you feel.
I was impressed with that. Let me say something about Dexter. Obviously, he's not practicing. Now, I'm 100 yards away, Paul, but I did have my binoculars with me, as you probably noticed.
Yep.
And he was at the other end from where they were practicing, right where they go in and out. And he had a defensive assistant with him. It was one-on-one.
Yeah.
And, of course, the defensive assistant wasn't trying to block him.
Would you?
He was doing some drills where he'd get out of his stance, move right or left, and then cut upfield.
Yes.
A man who weighs 340 pounds.
He's bigger than that right now, Len. Trust me.
As quickly as Dexter Lawrence was doing it. It was
yes, it's amazing.
Just mind-boggling speed for a guy of that size.
Yep.
Incredible. Last two roster spots along the offensive line. I think there's 11 guys who can legitimately make this roster. But I think those last two spots, Bo, Stinney, Uzudo, and Kubas, I think there's only room for two of them. We'll keep 9. I think there's only room for two of them. And let me say this about Stinney. I watched him a little bit yesterday, along with I'm mostly concentrated on the offensive line. Stinney's good. He's going to be tough to cut.
Yeah.
Are you there, guys?
Yeah. Look, I mean, Stinney is a very solid veteran. I mean, we saw him come in when needed last year. Like, I think
Yes.
at this point of this far into his career, you know what you're getting from him, and it's just it's solid play.
Yeah. I know,
Solid play. There's a reason why the Giants decided to re-sign him.
Last year, coming out of the preseason last year, no, it was a mixed-up preseason. There were injuries, we were moving people around. But I thought the most consistent player along the offensive line last preseason was Stinney. Stinney can play a little bit.
He did play pretty well last summer. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you know what, Len?
He's going to be a tough cut.
Here's the thing. I will just add this. I will just add this item to you.
Yeah.
Part of what they've got to do, and I don't know what they're thinking yet. We're going to have to see more during the preseason.
Yeah.
Azudu's still young yet, and I know they still believe they haven't seen the best out of him. They got to figure out what his upside is. They got to figure out what Kubas's upside is, because they love Kubas. The coaching staff loves this kid.
I know they do.
All right, so now if you're going to hold on to the two young guys thinking there was a lot of upside there, that's two backup guard spots already.
Yeah.
Van Roten.
That's right.
Is another interior backup guy.
I was
And you're not getting rid of him.
Yesterday
Well, he's your starter
how
right
much
now.
they use, and of course
Unless
they're
he's
short at
beaten out by
tackle
Neal.
without Andrew, but how much they used when Hudson came off the field, how much they used Izudu at left tackle, and when you think about it, there really isn't anybody else who can play in the NFL who can fit in at left tackle. So I was kind of surprised. It was second team reps, but Izudu was working at left tackle a lot.
They've been doing
yesterday.
that. Carmen Brasillo, the offensive line coach, seems to like to work him out there. I know. It's going to be very intriguing, Len, because, again, all right, let's say Van Roten is the starter. Well, then Neal is not going to get cut. He's going to be the third interior guy.
Yep.
And then how many tackles?
There you go.
How many tackles are you going to
When you
keep?
get down to that
James
back end.
Hudson is obviously
I
being
think
kept, for sure.
By opening day, I think Neal's going to be
gotta
the
keep
starter.
Bo.
Paul.
Bo is being kept, for sure.
I'm sorry, Len. Go ahead.
Yeah, but by the time the season is ready to start, I think Neal's going to be the starter there.
I'm kind of thinking right now, if the arrow goes as it's gone this offseason, he's got a real chance to take the job.
Yeah,
But
I think so too. I
let's
think Van Roten maybe makes the roster because he plays.
He's
there's
making
really
the
no
roster.
other center.
Van Roten's making the roster.
yeah,
He can be your number one backup at all three interior positions.
Yeah, I can't see him going anywhere. Len, I want to go here because we want to try to get to more folks. Thanks for the call. 201-939-4513. Sorry if we snipped you there just a tad, Len, but we want to try to keep this moving a little bit quicker. Dave from Phoenix is on line 2. You're next on BBKL. Hello.
Oh, hey, guys. It's actually Jay from Phoenix. But no
Oh,
problem.
okay, Jay. Apologies.
Hey, Jay.
So, sorry. I just had one observation and then just kind of maybe, I guess, two observations. I'll be very quick.
Sure.
And then a quick question. So one of the things I am very excited, first of all, I love, like you guys were talking about Russell Wilson in the beginning, and that's the thing that I've seen too. We'll see what his ability is, once he gets out there and is in game time, but I love the leadership that he's bringing, and you can just tell it's kind of settled. It seems like it's kind of settled the roster down and also given a little more confidence to the offense, which is nice to see. With that optimism, though, and swagger that is starting to develop, I really I'm still emotionally affected by that Dallas Cowboy 40-0 opener a couple of years ago that I came out for. And I just want to make sure that there's a hunger that's developing because when
let it go. It's a different team.
I know.
Different locker room.
Very different team.
Different team. Let it go. Who was it? Who was it who said just the other day at our presser? The past is the past and it's gone. Somebody said that the other day. One of the veterans.
Oh, it was yesterday. Tyrone Tracy said
Yes, Tracy said it.
When he was asked something about last year, he basically was like, I don't want to talk about last year.
That's it. It's
a
over.
New season.
It's gone.
So
Forget
especially
it.
2 years ago, we don't need to get it. It's a completely different team. The different feel around this building from 2 years ago, like it's day and night difference.
When we say the team is 0-0, we're telling you they believe they're 0-0. They're not carrying residue. They're not.
That's good. That's good to hear. So my quick question is looking at the backup receiver position, I know that Wandale is primarily the guy, and he's been a little bit banged up. Who's been backing him up? And then I want to just throw this thought out to you guys to kind of think about. I love the idea of Tracy and Scadaboo on the field at the same time, and one of them slipping into the slot. Or putting people in motion and running it from the slot with the two of them out there. I feel like that could be kind of a lot of fun to watch because they both have those receiving skills. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. I'll jump off and let you guys go.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Hyatt played a lot of that in college.
The slot, you're saying?
When he was in Tennessee. So I would suspect if something happened to Wan'Dale, that's a great way to get Hyatt on the field without taking snaps away from Neighbors or Slayton. If Hyatt is what they want him to be. If he's not, now who's the backup slot to Robinson? That's still being worked out. I don't think they've decided that yet.
No, again, we're only a week into camp. They definitely have not decided it, but there certainly have been some guys that have looked pretty good in those opportunities when given.
It's a good receiver room.
Montrell Washington, for starters. He was signed to a reserve future deal right after the Super Bowl. I believe he was part of the Chiefs team that made the Super Bowl this past year. He's come up with several big plays throughout training camp, whether, I think he's gotten some with Wan'Dale not practicing every day. I think he's been out there some reps with the ones, mostly with, the twos and threes, but it doesn't matter who's throwing him the football. He's come up with some big plays. We've seen some of the UDFAs as well come up with some big plays throughout practice. So for sure right now, obviously, Wan'Dale is the starting slot receiver. There's no doubt about that. Some of the other top guys are capable of lining up at times in the slot. We've seen, obviously, Malik Neighbors line up in the slot before. As you just mentioned, Jalen Hyatt has plenty of success from his time at Tennessee lining up in the slot. I don't know if on the 53-man roster come week one, there will be, a established backup slot on the roster. I think that is probably a position that they'll likely hold on the practice squad. And then, obviously, if something were to happen to Wan'Dale, then you can activate that guy, elevate him, sign him to the active roster if you need to.
Yeah,
but
I concur.
But I think that is one of the positions that over the next month is going to be a big competition to see who gets that spot, because there are several guys that have come up and made some plays between Washington, Cambry, Bly. Like, guys have been stepping up, but we're only a week into camp and there's still a lot of football left to be played. And that is a position that we're likely going to see one in the preseason. Because in the preseason game, it was especially when those backup wide receivers, as we've seen in the past, Victor Cruz. The only reason he became Victor Cruz with the Giants was because of how he did in the preseason. So that's going to be the time for those guys to really step up and show the coaching staff what they can do in an actual game setting. Because doing it in practice, yeah, it's great, but it's not the same as obviously doing it in a game setting.
That 5th and 6th wide receiver spot also may have a big impact on how many tight ends they keep. John keeps saying to me he's thinking it's going to be 4. We've discussed this.
Yeah.
Well, if it's going to be 4 tight ends, well, guess what? Theo Johnson can play big slot. We all think slot all the time is the little shrimpy firefly who's out there and is going to go run some quick routes. No. There are offensive coordinators who use what's called a big slot, which is basically either a tight end. I mean, Kelsey does that enough with Kansas City.
Yep.
And you'll use a big tight end who's got a big catch radius. He's tall, he's got long arms, and he becomes a big slot. Theo Johnson can absolutely be a big slot. And I could see them also going to a combination using him as the main slot guy if by chance they decide they want to go in that direction. But to do that, you may have to keep 4 tight ends.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all if the Giants rely on tight ends more in the slot. I mean, I feel like we've seen that across the NFL increase significantly over the last couple of years. I mean, you mentioned Kelsey, but you can go down the list of some of the best pass-catching tight ends. They line up in the slot all the time. I mean, Dalton Kincaid with the Bills lines up in the slot all of the time.
Evan Ingram did that a ton with
Evan
Jacksonville.
Ingram. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can name so many guys.
It's an option.
It would not surprise me at all. And if we're talking about tight ends in the slot, I know it's only a week into his first training camp, but if I'm a defense, I wouldn't really want to see Thomas Fidone lined up in the slot and have to try to line up and match up against him in the slot.
I made a comment the other day. I forget who was I with. I was with was it Pepper Johnson? It might have been Pepper. And I said, this Thomas Fidone, this 7th round tight end out of Nebraska, he's 6'7" with a wingspan that equals the length of the George Washington Bridge. How would you like to cover that guy?
He is long. He's big.
All right, real quick, before we get to our other calls, I just want to go real fast. I'm just going to give you 3 names, and you can give us your 3 names for the defensive guys, because we're going to run out of time. We're never going to get to this. I'm going with Brian Burns, who I think has had a spectacular training camp. Abdul Carter is my number 2, and Drew Phillips is my number 3. I think all 3 of those guys have been stellar in every way they could be. Again, understanding there's only been pads the last 2 days. But since camp started, these guys have shown me tremendous athleticism, hustle, energy, always around the ball. Those are my 3.
So I agree with you on the first 2. I'll try to make this quick. For Burns, first of all, and I've said this to you on the show many times the last few months, I think people are grossly underestimating his performance from last season. He played, considering the circumstances around him, the injuries he was dealing with, the team's record overall, the limited number of pass rush opportunities he got, I thought he played great. And I don't think it's nearly close to the best football that he's capable of. We started to see glimpses of that this summer, the last week especially. As you mentioned, it seems like he's in the backfield every other pass rush opportunity he gets. And likewise for Abdul Carter. I mean, we talked about throughout the spring how great he looked, but how you got to take it with a grain of salt because there's no pads. The offensive line isn't engaging with him like they would in a real situation. Well, now the pads are on, and now they are engaging with him, and he's still getting into the backfield basically every single snap. I mean, yesterday, Jackson Dart had this great touchdown throw to little Jordan Humphrey. It's a fantastic throw.
Back shoulder. Yes!
Right at the pylon for a touchdown, and that's all well and great. But if you look at the replay, I would say there was about a 95% chance that Abdul Carter would have blew Jackson Dart up in the backfield before he had a chance to throw it if it was a real game situation.
But not every linebacker in the league is Abdul Carter.
That's true.
So maybe Dart gets it off anyway.
I'm only talking about Abdul on that because that was a great play by Jackson. But I'm just saying,
it was.
If Abdul was actually trying to take him down, I don't think Jackson gets that ball off.
Yeah,
and that's just
you got an argument there.
That's just one example. But basically, what I'm saying is that strong performance we saw in the spring. Well, that's continued right into the training camp with the pads coming on. Again, I can't say I'm surprised because based on what I saw in the spring, I was kind of expecting it. So
give me number 3.
Number 3, and this is a little bit of a surprise player, I would say. You and I have spoken about how if there was one position the Giants might add, it would potentially be a corner and especially potentially a backup slot corner. Well, maybe someone in that locker room was listening to you because Nick Jones has stepped up in a very big way this first week of camp. He has come up with big plays. I would say almost each day he's come up with some sort of big play that I've written down on my notes. And, it's a little tougher for defense to come up with big plays in training camp than the offense. I've looked at my notes at the end of each day, and he's found his way into my notes more often than not. I think right now, he would be my pick for the backup slot corner behind Drew Phillips. And obviously, Drew Phillips has also looked very good. But
he's looked terrific.
I just want to give Nick Jones a bit of a shout out because obviously as a backup guy, again, a guy that was signed to a reserve future deal, not as much hype around him as Drew Phillips or some of these other guys we talk about. Obviously, Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. But he has stood out to me this
first. He had a pick 6 the other day.
He did. He has stood out to me this first week of camp. And I think right now, he is the leader in the clubhouse for that backup slot position.
My honorable mention would have been Paulson Adebo, who I also think has been very sticky.
Yeah, he has. He's just bringing some, again, we talk about veteran leadership with Russ. Well, Adebo's bringing that to that defensive back room, which is relatively young group. He's the old guy in the room, and he's just turned 26, I think, or is turning 26. It's crazy.
You'll give me Adebo then as your honorable mention? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Folks, 201-939-4513. Quickly, want to make sure we get out our announcements. Giants Huddle podcast is up and running. It always is. Giants people, NFL people. John does a great job in tracking these folks down. Is there anything up new with the Huddle that you posted in the last day or two that we need to know about?
Oh, yes. Today, we posted John's interview with Tiki Barber because Tiki is joining the pregame and postgame show on WFAN.
Mm-hmm.
And so John sat down and did an interview with him that just got posted today. I would recommend checking it out. That is the most recent Huddle. I think the one prior to that might have been John's interview with Jeff Fiegels, which was a couple of days ago, so I'm sure you guys promoted that.
Yeah,
already.
I knew the Barber announcement came out a couple of hours ago. I didn't know if the audio was posted already.
Yes, we posted the podcast the same time that the press release went out.
That's why I wanted to be
around
careful.
10 a.m.
I didn't want to let something out of the bag a little too early there. You got to be very careful with timing when you do these kinds of shows because we're live and sometimes you don't know when the stuff goes up.
That's fair.
All right. In addition, we want to mention that the Giants Foundation will host a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on Sunday, October 28th, 9 a.m. or 26th. 26th, yes. It's in yellow here. I can't read it in yellow. At MetLife Stadium, net proceeds benefit the Giants Foundation. All participants receive a commemorative T-shirt after the race. Stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. Register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Also, Giants season ticket memberships are available. Memberships give you all kinds of benefits all season long. You can go to giants.com/tickets to find out more information. And Giants TV is the official TV streaming app. It is all over the place. It's free. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and the Giants mobile app. Make sure you get it so you can see all the great videos of all the stuff that we tell you about every day on BBKL.
Sounds good.
All right.
Before we get back to the calls, I saw two YouTube comments I want to just quickly.
I was good.
Very
Callers
quick.
are waiting longer.
Just very quick.
Okay, go.
Very, very quick.
Go. What do you got?
One person said that I look like I'm 24 years old. Thank you. As a compliment. I am 32 years old, so just a little bit older. And the second one saying someone would like to meet me at a Mets game. I'm actually going to the Mets game on Sunday. So if you're there, let me know.
Okay.
So I said real quick.
All right. Well, you know what? Here it is now. We got about, 15 minutes left on the show. We got a few people on YouTube. We got 3 callers on hold. We're going to try to go quick. Marty Manahawkin, you're on line 1 here on BBKL. Hello.
Hey, Paul. How you doing? It was
Hi.
good to come up and say hello to you yesterday.
For sure.
Even though it was hot, and I did take your advice and go find the water in the back there.
Got to.
Good.
Got to do it.
Now, I don't know if it was the offensive line yesterday or if it was just the fact that it seemed to me that it looked like the running backs were like hitting the holes really quick yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, I figured you would notice that also. And I also noticed that that one fella from Notre Dame, Bo Collins, when he would go in motion and go into the line to block whoever he was blocking, he took care of business. So he looks like he might be, hopefully he'll be a keeper for that aspect. Other than that, Paul, it was good to see you yesterday, and have a good day, both you and Matt.
All right, Marty, you too.
Thank you,
Always nice to see all of our listeners from the show come up and say hi when they come to practice. I will say this. The running backs, Tracy's running with more confidence and much more assertiveness than he did last year, and he's quick to remind us he hasn't always been a running back. He used to be a receiver. So this is all part of his development and growth and maturity in the position. So I agree.
Only year 3 of him playing running back. The running back position, not just, in the NFL.
Right.
Year 3 of him playing the position. And you can tell this is the most confident he's been at the position.
He looks it. He just
looks
looks
it. He sounds it. I like what I've seen from him so far.
And Scatterbo, look, this guy ran into telephone poles when he was younger. Is there any question about his assertiveness running forward?
No. I cannot wait to see him run someone over in a game.
And may I say, Turbo Miller, a lot of times he's running with third team, and there's not a lot of room there, but he still gets those legs going. And every once in a while, when there's enough of a crease, you see him pop one. I'm a big fan. I'm sorry. I'm a big fan. I don't know where it's going to land with him because obviously Singletary is going to be on this roster unless somebody maybe calls the Giants and says, hey, we want to pry him from you. I guess they would listen. I don't know. But Turbo Miller is a guy, I hope he stays around. Somehow, some way, I hope he's in the building.
Yeah, look, we don't get to talk about him as often as obviously some of the other guys, not even only running back, but just other playmakers. But I will say he might be my number 1 pick of guys I would want to have the ball just in the open field on the entire team.
He motors.
He is so quick. When you talk about before with Scatterbo, having the second gear but not a third gear.
Oh, he's got it.
Turbo Miller, there's a reason why his name is Turbo Miller. He's got that third gear.
Yeah.
It sounds, when he's running, and especially when he's just running up the sideline, it's like you're playing Madden, you're hitting the turbo button, all of a sudden you just get that extra burst of speed. It's crazy. There's no one on the team running in a straight line. I don't think there's anyone on the team that can keep up with him.
I don't think so either. Maybe some of the players in that locker room would try to argue and maybe want the challenge.
I would like to see that then.
But I'd line up Miller on that line any day and say, he's my guy.
Yeah.
Line 2, Lou in Virginia. You're next on BBKL. Hello, Lou.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Oh, we're
Good.
well.
What's
How
up,
you doing?
Good, good, good. I'm just calling to say that someone needs to talk Wilson off the ledge when it comes to Daniel Jones, because everyone else in the world, aside from him, know that Daniel wasn't the guy for us. And no one's blaming or pointing fingers at Daniel Jones. Reality is what it is. He just didn't work out here. So when he calls up and complains about you guys bashing Daniel Jones again, you might want to think to hang up on him because it's ridiculous. But that's all I got. You guys are doing a great job, and thank you.
All right, Lou. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you, Lou.
We don't bash Daniel Jones. We simply say the situation was broken, and it didn't work out. And from everything we hear, and I'm not surprised, he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Colts. It looks like he's in the lead at this point, late in July. I think he's going to win that job. I said it from the very beginning when he got signed by the Colts, and I think he's going to win games for them, and I think he's going to go on to have a nice NFL career. That's my opinion. Circumstances just did not work out well here. The change of scenery is going to be very productive for him, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, Daniel Jones did everything right off of the field. He handled himself as well as anyone could have asked, given everything that was going on around him. It just didn't work on the field, and everyone is disappointed about that. It's not all the blame goes to him, but it was a situation where, it seemed like the teams of the last couple of years sort of needed a quarterback that was going to help raise the entire offense and transitive property, the whole team around him. And that just didn't happen with Daniel Jones the last couple of years. That's nothing against him personally. As you mentioned, I've read nothing but positive reviews about how he's been playing in Indianapolis' training camp. We wish him the best. There's no bashing him. It did not work out here, and it seems like both parties needed a change, and so far it looks like it's working out for both sides. I don't think either side is complaining right now.
And by the way, I'm just going to say this one more time. We've done it for months and months and months. Just because a player did not work out in a certain situation, regardless of the circumstances, it doesn't mean he can't go somewhere else and succeed. This league is full of guys who have done that. Geno Smith is one such name that comes to mind immediately.
Yeah, and even a player who has been described as having Daniel Jones having similar skill set of who had a change of scenery and all of a sudden rejuvenated his career, at least for a couple of years, Ryan Tannehill. When he left the Dolphins and went to the Titans, he played some good football for a couple of years.
Sure.
And Daniel Jones and Ryan Tannehill have similar skill sets as quarterbacks. This is another example, but we see it all the time.
Back to the phones. Line 3, Gabriel in Washington. You're next on the program. Hello.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Well, how are you?
What's up, Gabriel?
I'm doing great. So I haven't been able to attend training camp because I live across the country and stuff. So I was just wondering about what you guys thought about James Hudson, because I really liked the signing. And I just haven't seen much stuff on him, so I was wondering what you guys saw and if you guys like him or not.
Very experienced player, very comfortable in the swing tackle role. He's energetic. As we heard from the players and coaches yesterday, he has quite an edge to him, and we didn't need to hear that because we've seen it on the field. He tends to get very prickly out there at practice. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out with him because, quite frankly, the little bit that I've seen of him when he was with Cleveland, it was a small sample size. Personally, I hope Andrew Thomas is able to play 17 games, and they don't need to go to their third tackle.
I think everyone hopes that.
But if they do, the fact that the Giants were so quick to sign him, he was a priority target in free agency, tells you that they believe if one of their tackles goes down, Hudson can keep that boat floating above water.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that sort of torpedoed the Giants last year was the fact that they did not have a swing tackle once Andrew Thomas went down that they could rely on to give him just solid, consistent play. I mean, whether it was, Jermaine Illuminor, I think, did a great job when he had to switch from the right side to the left side. That was after already switching from guard to tackle during training camp last year. He had a second position change midseason. I thought he played pretty well, all things considered, but they didn't really have then a right tackle that they could lean on to give him good, consistent protection. So, as you mentioned, James Hudson was the swing tackle, and James Hudson was one of the priority targets for the Giants this offseason. They don't bring him in and give him the contract that they reportedly gave him if they didn't have confidence in him. Now, if you have been at training camp, you might say like, oh, well, there have been plays where he's failed to stop the pass rusher coming at him. That's because he's been going up against Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, and Kayvon Thibodeau just about every single play.
He's being tested.
He's being tested with, as we've mentioned, what could end up being one of the top edge rusher groups in the entire NFL. And he's won some of those battles. He's lost some for sure, but he's also won some. I think he's held his own considering the competition that he's had to go up against. So I think obviously we all want Andrew Thomas to be healthy for week 1 and play every single game. I think he is one of, if not the most important pieces to the team's success this year. But if he is not able to play, whether it's week 1 or if he ends up missing some time later in the season, the Giants have a much better option to now come in and fill in than what they've had, I would say, the last couple of years as the backup tackle.
Again, I think I said to Len the other day, when you talk about a third tackle or a swing tackle, the Giants, you'd really have to go back to Sean Locklear, Bob Whitfield. You're going back like a decade to where the Giants really had a terrific third tackle. Usually, those guys are few and far between. Usually the third tackle is a developmental guy who you're kind of hoping can maybe hold the fort if you need him and then at some point may compete for a starting job. Sometimes you get really lucky and the guy's on the back end of his career and has had a really good NFL tenure and he still has gas in his tank like Whitfield did, like Locklear did. And then you get to have those guys as your third tackle. That's a luxury. Thank you, Gabe. You appreciate the phone call. All right, let's quickly go to some of our YouTube questions and comments. Ryan's Big Blue Pod says, Greg Dulcich has been sneaky for me, and I don't think there's any question. He's had a good offseason, and Russell Wilson likes him from their days in Denver together. We can't forget that.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the guys, I think I said this last week, looked a lot better so far at the start of training camp than what he did in the spring. He struggled a little bit during the spring with some drops. He's looked better. He's made some contested catches in traffic where, again, wrote it down in my notebook, standout play. He's made a couple of those. He's looked a lot better this past week. So I agree. I think that whole group is going to make the coaching staff come down with a very hard decision deciding which tight ends end up making the 53-man roster.
Tight end receiver decisions are going to be rough.
Yeah.
Aiden Fink says, I like what I saw from Tay Banks, and you should. He has been very sticky. Had a bad pass interference yesterday where he didn't get his head around. It's old habits die hard sometimes, Matt. Old habits on that play.
On that one, yeah, but
otherwise,
a little bit earlier in practice.
He's had a really good summer.
A little bit earlier in practice, he made a great play where he got his head around to break up a pass in the last second, which that has been something that he had kind of struggled with the first 2 years of his career, getting his head around to see the ball as it's about to get there. So that it was a bad pass interference, but he also had a very good play that I think got put out on social media on the Giants Twitter account a little bit earlier in practice. So again,
it's been real good offseason for him.
It has been a good offseason. It hasn't been perfect, but it has been good. It's an encouraging start to training camp for him. He's got to keep it up, though.
No doubt.
Got another big month ahead of him.
Aiden also says, I feel like Russell Wilson struggled making some plays in the red zone drills, which concerns me a bit. He did make some plays there, though. Needs to be more consistent. Well, like I said, Russell Wilson on a, quote, bad day for him still isn't so bad. That's about the only thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
He's entitled to miss a couple of throws.
All I'm going to say is this doesn't concern me at all.
No.
I don't even know what struggling in the red zone drills Aiden's referring to, but again, does not concern me. He was our number one offensive standout for both of us. So Russell Wilson, right now, I don't have concerns about that.
Did I not? Let me just go right back here for 1 second. He had a rollout touchdown pass to Bellinger early in practice yesterday. You remember that?
Yep.
And then later on at the end of practice, he hit Slayton.
It was such a good play action and a rollout. Bellinger was wide open.
Yeah.
Wide open.
And then Slayton with a diving grab in the end zone to end practice yesterday.
Yeah.
And both were Russell Wilson throws. So, Aiden, I got to be honest with you. I think you're being a little too hard there. Rogan says, how do we feel about Abdul Carter? Do we really need to say anything else? I think we're just going to move on.
Good.
Yeah.
We feel good about him.
Yes,
That's all we need to say.
Warwick, is it Eddie says, Scatterboo, Neal, and Carter are my three. He's mixing up offense and defense and coming out with three guys.
Top
but guess
overall
what?
three.
All three were on our list, so that's cool. Giambagaki says, when you look at Dart in interviews, his eyes are half closed when he talks after practice. That means he's still visualizing what he learned. Either that or there's sweat in his eyes.
Or the lights are in his eyes.
That too, because they're bright. He looks like he can process his experiences well. I don't think there is any doubt that Jackson Dart is not only one of these workaholics and tape monsters. Yes, he is visualizing an awful lot in his head at all times. Why do we say that? Because every time another quarterback is taking snaps under center, you see how attentive he is behind the offense, watching exactly what's going on. He never wastes a minute on the practice field doing nothing. Jackson Dart is always paying attention to something.
Yeah, and I think it was either Monday or Tuesday of this week, Coach Dable said, as I mentioned earlier, you can notice the improvement that Jackson Dart has made just from last week to this week. It is a noticeable improvement. Yeah, he's made some mistakes. Again, any rookie quarterback is going to make mistakes, but he is learning from those mistakes. You can see that he's learning those mistakes, and he's not making them again, or he's limiting the amount that it happens again, which you don't always see that from a rookie quarterback. You don't always see that from veteran quarterbacks. You sometimes see them make the same mistake over and over again. You're not seeing that from Jackson Dart. When he makes a mistake, he makes a note of it. You could sure as heck bet that he's going into the film room after, studying what happened, and making sure that it does not happen again. Which, again, for a rookie quarterback, only 1 week into his first training camp, that's all you can ask for.
I will say this, and I'm going to make it short and sweet. We're 1 week in. I'm simply going to tell you that at this point, I don't see any red flags right now that are making me overly concerned, in a panic, upset, saying, uh-oh, they got a real problem there. Red flag, that's an issue. I don't know if they can fix it. In some camps, those red flags are not just one or two. They go up and there's a few of them. I don't see any red flags right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, as you just said, it is still very early. But so far, just like I said with Abdul Carter, the early results for Jackson Dart have been positive. There have been no big glaring things, as you mentioned, that are like, uh-oh, this is something to really keep an eye on. Like that scares me a little bit. There's been none of that. Yep. Again, he's made some mistakes. That's going to happen with a rookie quarterback, but he's learning and improving each and every day, and that is the most important thing.
Again, folks, we remind you, they've only had 2 padded practices, and they were thud or contact practices. They were not even full tackle, okay? So when we give this praise, when we cite hopefulness or optimism and all these wonderful things that we're saying, it is still very early in the process. I'm sure you've all put a pizza in the oven, checked on it 5 minutes later and said it looks like it's going real good. And then sometimes by the time you get back to the oven, it didn't work out so well. It happens. Sometimes it turns out great. Sometimes you left it in there too long or you took it out too soon and the finished product isn't so great. But right now, early in the process, things looking pretty good. That'll do it for this week's, today's show, not this week's show. There's more tomorrow. And there's more after that. It's only Wednesday. I keep forgetting what day it is.
I have no idea what day it is. Thank you for the reminder.
That's what happens when you're in the middle of training camp. You lose track of the days. But there will be a Big Blue Kickoff live tomorrow, live, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Giants.com, 201-939-4513. It is a Shells practice tomorrow. Full pads come on again Friday and on Saturday. If you get a chance to come out, by all means, enjoy yourselves, and please do get something to drink. And by the way, one other reminder, check on the weather tomorrow. They're talking about rain.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah, that I believe last time I checked, there was 90% chance of rain tomorrow. So, folks, do check the Giants' social media platforms. Please do. It's important because you don't want to necessarily be driving here if you're coming from far away. If it rains, they move practice inside. And for safety reasons, they can't let you come in and see it.
Yeah, on that note, because we had someone reaching out, I think it was leading into Sunday's training camp practice where there were reports of potential rain. If you are coming to practice, you have your tickets, make sure you have the push notifications on the app turned on, because if/when any open training camp practice gets canceled, we will send a push notification out letting you guys know as soon as we know. We have everything prepared for just in case it does happen at some point. That will be the quickest and fastest way to get that information, because we don't want any of you guys making a long drive just for the open part of practice to be canceled. So make sure you have those turned on. We will get that information to you as soon as we possibly can.
That'll do it for today's edition of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. As always, we've come to you from the Giants podcast studio, presented by Hackensack University Medical Health, and keep getting better. See you, folks.